Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining today's stream. It is 27th of August, 3 p.m. Moscow time, and as always, I have prepared quite a number of news for this main news update. First news update was published early in the morning on my Patreon and Boosty pages. So this is second news update, main one, and in case you find this episode informative and interesting, please click the like button, leave some commentary, share your opinion about any of the topics that I will discuss during the stream, or any topic that you consider to be important or interesting. I'm reading comments always, so will be interesting to be engaged, by the way, right? Also, reminder that you can initiate conversation during the streams on any topic you like. If you send your question or the comment through PayPal platform, Boosty platform, or during the live streams through Super Chat on Rumble, just in case, if I may, I will drop a link to my Rumble channel. That's interesting. I'm streaming on both channels simultaneously, of course, and well, something is wrong with Rumble. By the way, I don't know why, but it does not want to work properly. I mean, what the hell? Give me a second there. I'll deal with it. So looks like it's okay now. Okay, I will drop a link of my Rumble channel in the YouTube chat, dear friends. So you can, if you have account, you can subscribe to my channel or use that very same super chat to highlight any topic you like. After the new segment, I will of course react on it. There was already some recommendations that I received through PayPal from Christopher. I will react on it, and also if there is any super chats or questions from Boosty, I will open Boosty also, by the way, just in case. And Patreon too. Okay. Okay, now let's go for the news, right? Let's go for the news. And well, unfortunately, I have to start with terrible news that is coming from St. Petersburg, city of Russia. Lieutenant Colonel, according to reports, were killed there as a result of yet another terrorist attack orchestrated by US, UK secret services and Ukrainian proxies. And the wife of, allegedly wife of this lieutenant colonel was injured during the car explosion that was mined by assets of yet again US and British secret services and their Ukrainian proxies. Of course, another massive failure on behalf of Russian secret services. How many Russian high-ranking officers or public figures have to be killed by British and US intelligence services and the Ukrainian assets? At least anybody or somebody to take responsibility among political, military, security leadership of Russia, and at least to resign, man. I mean, do they have any the dignity left, or they just completely sold out their souls, or what the hell is going on? Really, it's terrible, right? Every day, Russian leadership, political, military, security services are demonstrating for the whole world to see how incompetent they are. That's it, man. I don't think I have to say anything on top of that. And unfortunately, because none of them have any dignity or decency, right? And none of them are resigning, that means system will learn nothing. No one will learn nothing, right? And they don't learn actually nothing. And that's why these are regular occurrence, by the way. Every other week, some high-ranking Russian public figure or military officer is being killed or injured with these terrorist attacks that are orchestrated by NATO member states, US and UK primarily. This is a big issue, obviously, massive issue that Russia is facing. Incompetence of high-ranking officials on all fields, right? And this has to be dealt, man. This situation has to be resolved. Otherwise, sir, I mean, you tell me what kind of future we have, man, when this level of incompetency is demonstrated on regular basis. Let's continue with some other topics, and of course, this recent visit of CIA Director Redcliffe to Moscow that happened day before yesterday continues to make headlines here in Russia and worldwide. The head of Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, Narishkin, confirmed meeting with the CIA director. Let me give you some details on that. So, Sergei Narishkin, director of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, SVR, confirmed that he met with the US CIA director, John Redcliffe, while he was in Moscow. The meeting, oh, there is, I forget again this freaking screen capture, isn't it? Goodness me, man. Sorry. So the meeting took place. He said there is nothing unusual about that. Narishkin told reporters in the practice of a special services, meeting between leaders, whether in a person or online, are part of our work. I must tell you that I meet with the head of one special service on intelligence organization or another from every continent almost every week. So the meeting I had with John Radcliffe was a part of a working format. Yeah, okay. Okay, at least Norishkin confirmed that he had a meeting, but I'm quite sure, by the way, Radcliffe came to Moscow not for a meeting with Norishkin, but for a meeting with Putin, president of the Russian Federation. And there was this meeting, by the way. Yesterday I showed your screenshot when motorcade of Radcliffe exiting the Kremlin. So Narishkin, last time I checked, is not working from Kremlin. Putin does, right? So clearly there was a meeting between Putin and Radcliffe. Radcliffe delivered certain specifics on whatever deals they are, and I'm specifically using this word deal, by the way, right? Because that's what Russian leadership does nowadays. They are dealing, they are doing some deals, right? Because they are not capable of anything else. And they are not even capable of doing deals, man, in reality. But anyways, obviously Putin had a meeting. He received orders. Sorry, orders are wrong word. What is the word? Initiatives, yes, sir. Details, specifics from his CIA boss. From American colleague of his. After all, Putin himself was working in secret services, right, in the KGB during the Soviet Union. He was working in a very interesting place, by the way, in the German Democratic Republic, which was infiltrated big time by CIA and US CIA and German BMD. So yeah, just saying, right? And so obviously they had a meeting, they had a chatter, maybe they also reached some deal. God knows, right? After all, Russian leadership was messing around their deal with the freaking Anchorage, with Americans in Anchorage for more than a year, right? They killed brains of everybody while talking about this freaking Anchorage spirit. And eventually it turned out that it was no freaking deal, it was joke, right? At least Marco Rubio characterized that stuff like nothing, right? Like a joke. Anyways, I spoke about this Radcliffe visit yesterday, right? In length, so I don't think I have to repeat myself on the matter. But yet again, media continues to speculate. Wall Street Journal once again is pushing this narrative that CIA chief arrived in Moscow with a warning against attacking NATO countries. For God's sake, man, why are they pushing this narrative? We are talking about Putin, right? Putin is a Russian president, so without his green light authorization, Russian secret services, Russian military is going to do nothing, right? To retaliate on NATO countries that are involved in this war against Russian people, and they're not going to be able to restore deterrent either, because without retaliation, deterrent cannot be restored. Now, that's how bad the situation is. And still, Western propaganda continues to push that, well, Radcliffe delivered this strict warning to Putin, don't you dare to attack NATO. You know what? This is too unserious, right? This is too laughable, really. But you know what's going on? I guess Western propaganda is pushing this narrative, especially American one, by the way, pushing this narrative so that after 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 month, they will say, you see, Radcliffe went to Moscow, delivered this strict warning, don't you dare, don't you dare, don't even think about attacking NATO. And they did not. You see how tough we are? We scared the hell out of them. So you see, I mean, we are still number one in this world. That's what their end game is in this freaking nonsensical propaganda. Because who on this planet believes, even for a second, that Putin, who himself is a globalist, right? After all, it was a Putin that was saying about this space from Lisbon to Vladivostok and stuff like that. Remember, he himself is a globalist in his ideology, and how anybody can think that this globalist, who never done anything to harm our best interests or geopolitical interests of the Western ruling class, will now suddenly change his mind and will go after interests of very same Western ruling class or the globalists. It's freaking nonsense, right? It's literally nonsense, man. So I don't know, man, why Western ruling class continues or Western propaganda continues to push this narrative, but they do, man. And yeah, okay, F them all, right? It's freaking nonsense. Also, Politico, it's not just Wall Street Journal, not just New York Times, but Politico is out there too, pushing this narrative. Politico is now the third major US outlet after Wall Street Journal and CBS to report that CIA Director John Ratcliffe's unannounced Moscow trip this week was meant to warn Kremlin from about any move against NATO states. Political sources say Ratcliffe also pressed Moscow to scale back military and economic support for Iran. I don't think Putin knows anything about supporting Iran, by the way, right? In Russia, there is a deep state, there is many other means, right? Everyone understands who Putin is and for whom he is working. And so, therefore, there are many groups here in Russia, many ways how Iran can receive assistance from Russia, and it's not necessary to be informed about it, right? After all, Iran is a strategical partner of Russia. That's it, man. It's a strategical partner of Russia. Maybe not military ally, but strategical partner. And state institutions don't have to wait for a green light from Kremlin to assist Iranian people, because they will never get green light from the Kremlin in that case, right? If they're going to wait when Putin will tell them, assist Iranian people. Putin will never do that. As I said, Putin will never do anything that will go against the interests of the Western ruling class. Just remember that forever, man, because it's factual. It's just true, period, right? And he proved it, man, proved this million times in the past, right? And I'm kind of sick and tired that there is still this massive push, or that, well, there is a confrontation between Putin and the Western elites. There is no freaking confrontation, right? In the media, in the public field, yes, for propaganda purposes, for agenda, agenda demands certain nonsense to be spread around, right? To keep minds of their loosely intelligent people busy with something. But actual, people that actually have working brains, they do understand perfectly well what the hell is going on, right? So therefore, there was no freaking warnings from Radcliffe. There is no need for that, obviously. He came with some details, some nuances about reaching freezing of the conflict. That's all. And I already said yesterday that I expect that as a part of preparations for a freezing of the conflict in next several weeks' time, most likely before parliamentary elections here in Russia that are scheduled for 20th September, suddenly Russian troops will liberate Slavyansk, and which is a major stronghold of Kyiv regime, obviously, in this last northern eastern corner of DPR, and maybe even Kramatorsk, by the way, right? But Slavyansk for sure. And that will be proof, by the way. That will be proof that my reading of the big picture is spot on. Let's wait 2-3 weeks. It's not that much of a time, isn't it? Allegedly, Redcliffe was especially warning Russian president not to dare to attack Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Goodness me, man. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania are attacking Russia, right? Every time Leningrad region is targeted, these drones are coming from these countries, plus Finland. Putin never even said a single word. Putin never even said a single word, critical word about these countries and their involvement in this war. Last time if I remember correctly, last time he spoke about European involvement in this war against Russian people was that he said that you see European countries are not directly targeting Russian territory. He says something like that kind of freaking nonsense, right? So why would Redcliffe warn him, don't attack our NATO? He is afraid to say a single freaking word about involvement of these NATO countries, man, right? Come on now. Anyways, it's all freaking nonsense and the BS stuff, right? In several weeks' time, Kramatorsk, I don't know about Kramatorsk, but most likely Slavyansk will be liberated with the rapid advance of the Russian forces, right? Globalists will make sure that this is going to happen, that Kiev regime will withdraw a majority of its forces, right? So that Russian advanced troops that have not going to have any idea what's going on, they will just attack. But it will so happen that there will be only like a loose presence of Kiev regime's forces in this city, in Slavyansk, right? Maybe even in Kramatorsk. Because yet again, Western ruling class needs to give some big victory to Putin, right? To keep his position strong, because they would not ever even dream about having anybody in the Kremlin that are this useful, willingly or unwillingly, but are this useful for their Western geopolitical agenda, right? So it is what it is. And it so happened, dear friends, it so happened that day after Redcliffe left, head of Russian General Staff, Gerasimov, visited Southern Group of Forces, right, headquarters of Southern Group of Forces, and focus of discussion was, you guessed what? Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up, man, right? So Gerasimov went to say that Russian armed forces are only 3 kilometers away, forward units from their Kramatorsk, right, from outskirts of the Kramatorsk, and when it comes to Slavyansk, city that definitely has a symbolic meaning for the uprising of the Donbass people in 2014, and they're not just for Donbass people, but for many citizens of Russia. Russian troops from Slavyansk are only about 4 kilometers away, right? Russian forces are 4 kilometers from the eastern outskirts of Slavyansk, and street fighting continues in Nikolaevka and Nikhanorovka. Chief of General Staff of the Russian Armed Forces, Valery Gerasimov, stated so interesting that, I mean, maybe coincidence, difference, maybe coincidence, but for the past 2 days, I mean, while commenting on this Redcliffe visit and stuff, I shared my take, my reading of the big picture. I spoke about possibility of, rapid advance of Russian forces in Slavyansk, possibly in the Kramatorsk direction too. I explained how and why this would happen. Yesterday, I spent half an hour, I guess, right, during the stream talking about it, so, and day before yesterday also. So it so happened that today Gerasimov is talking about Kramatorsk and Slavyansk, right? And he is visiting Southern Group of Forces that are operating in this direction, right? So, yeah, 2-3 weeks from now, and Slavyansk is going to be liberated. Maybe Kramatorsk too, but right. Of course, my reading of the big picture can only be accurate on certain level, right? Because after all, I only have access to information that you have access to, right? Information that is out there in open sources, and of course, much more information is needed to have a more accurate reading of the big picture, but more information is classified. So I'm never going to have access to it, right? So I'm working with what I have. Interesting, anyways, isn't it? Interesting. So let's see how the situation develop. I'm monitoring, dear friends, all sorts of MSMs and even channels on alternative media, and it is funny, man, how differently I see their situation, how differently I read the picture, and how differently others, man. I mean, am I losing my freaking mind, or what the hell is going on? Or those other people really are unable to see what's going on. We will find out soon. Maybe I'm just a freaking idiot or something. But for God's sake, how many times I was correct in my predictions and in my reading on the big picture? I mean, if it was just once, twice, 5 times, you would say, yeah, just a coincidence. But when it happens, on regular basis, then uh, I mean, yeah, maybe we can call it a coincidence, but maybe there is something else to it, right? Or maybe I'm good at it, man, in analyzing the information. I don't know. Anyways, let's continue with some other news. And there we have a report that Russian armed forces liberated the Shevchenkovskaya settlement in Zaporozhye region. This is a northern western flank of Zaporozhye. So this is the area, by the way, of this Shevchenkovskaya settlement, which is under full Russian control now. There are video confirmations of that. Also, I'll just remind you that yesterday I shared information about Nezhenka settlement being liberated in Zaporozhye region, also bit south from Shevchenkovskaya, and also Pisarevka settlement in Sumy region. And also, I want to give you this positive news, sir, that Russian aerospace forces received their new batch of, or another batch of Su-35 US fighter jets. Information is coming from United Aircraft Corporation of Russia. And well, great, by the way. Su-35 US fighter jets are, in my personal opinion, best fourth generation, 4++ generation fighter jets out there. Maybe US F F-15EX can be somewhat closer, right, with the capabilities, maybe not. I don't think F-15 can ever really go head to head in a dogfight, for example, with their Su-35. So therefore, it's always going to be worse than Russian fighter jet. Although in other capabilities outside of dogfight, yeah, F-15 might be on the same level, right? And F-15 is a good plane. It's a legendary plane, actually, right? But Su-35 is better anyways. So good, man, that Russian aerospace forces have a new batch of these advanced 4++ generation fighter jets. Also, Russian forces were conducting, of course, long-range precision strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of the Kiev regime during the past night, also throughout the day, actually. And there were explosions inside the Kiev, a number of other directions. This is approximate map that you can see right now on your screen of Russian attacks, right? And Kiev is clearly one of the directions, but not the only direction of past night's long-range Russian attacks. Enemy side is reporting that approximately 300 drones were used allegedly by Russian forces during their nighttime strikes on legit targets on the Kiev control territory, and around 20 ballistic missiles. And this time around, according to some reports, some ballistic missiles were intercepted. Rumors are that Kiev regime received some interceptor missiles, probably some from Europe, right? Could be US too, but majority of missiles reach their targets based on what I read throughout the day on internet. Also, we have little more details about these nighttime attacks planned for assembling drones, including a production of a Hornet drones. US made Hornet drones was destroyed during the nighttime attack by Russian forces in Kiev, by the way, and the Kiev region. Also, Kiev Transport and Logistics Center office and the warehouse complex, Sun Parker, major center for storing and distributing strike FPV drones. Also, transport and logistics center in Borispol office and the warehouse center, Alexandrovsky major center where components for the drones were stored. Drones themselves are built in the West, obviously, right? Then these drones are disassembled in the West, sent on the Q control territory in the parts, right? And on the Q control territory, there are assembly lines, right? Where this final assembly is happening of these Western-made drones, and then they are used against Russia by Western secret services and militaries and their Ukrainian proxies. And this is a constant fight, right? Because maybe today we destroyed the assembly lines in Kiev, but tomorrow, day after tomorrow, in a week from now, they're going to be another ones, right? So this is just constant struggle when it comes to dealing with this capability of our enemies to assemble drones and to conduct long-range strikes. There was attacks also on military logistical infrastructure, energy infrastructure related to military in Odessa region, according to reports. In Ilichevsk, for example, plant for assembling drones and their plant for producing sodium nitrite was targeted. In the ports of Odessa and Chernomorsk, 24 storage facilities containing military equipment was targeted. In the port of Reni, which is on the Danube River, by the way, infrastructure facilities used for unloading military cargo and the fuel was targeted. Energy facilities that supply power to the port and the transport infrastructure facilities used for military purposes were also struck. And there are reports, by the way, when it comes to Danube River, and ports there from in Odessa region. They also report that Russian armed forces struck a bulk carrier and the fuel tanks for the Kyrgyzstan forces in the port of Ismail. So it was not just infrastructure in Reni, but also in Ismail on the Danube River that was hit, right? In addition, in Zaporozhye and Krivoy Rog, metallurgical plants that supply product for military production was targeted in the city of Kremenchuk, Poltava region. Refinery that supplies fuel to Kyrgyz forces were also struck. This is all happening during the nighttime, right? Early in the morning. But as I said, throughout the day, Russian armed forces were continuing striking, targeting legit targets all over their Kiev control territory, including inside the Kiev itself. And right now on your screen, you can see, for example, aftermath of one of the Geran 5 drone strikes in Kiev, in the area of Lobanovsky Stadium, right? I guess in this forestry area, in this park area, there was some either underground storage facility or whatever, right? Something else. And it was neutralized. Also, I saw a video, dear friends, when Kyrgyz forces intercepted one of the Russian drones, and drone almost fell on a breach. Almost fell on a breach, by the way, right? These so-called air defense forces of Ukrainian Nazis and the fascists are just freaking imbeciles. I'm telling you, man. How many times we have seen videos, not even pictures, videos, by the way, when they are intercepting drones over their civilians. Why only anybody will do that? Intercepting drone over, or the missile, by the way, for that matter, over residential areas. You are there, right? You know where this fragment is gonna fail. Why you are intercepting that drone? Let it move away a little bit, right, from residential area and take it out. Then you have a capability, right? If you are intercepting here, you can intercept there too. But they don't care, man. They just simply don't care how many people will be harmed on the ground among civilians when this debris will fail. Now I'm telling you, I see in video, bridge is busy, cars are moving up and down, and drone fail like just a little distance away from the bridge in the water. It's crazy. Anyways, let's continue with some other news. As I already mentioned, dear friends, there was a massive attack on a logistical center of a Kiev regime in Borispol. You can see aftermath of that strike. I've seen some videos. There is nothing left really from that logistical center that was targeted there. Also in the Krivoy Rog, two Iskander-M missiles conducted the strike on industrial facility. And as I said, according to some reports, some of the Russian ballistic missiles out of those 20 that allegedly Russian militaries used past night, some of those ballistic missiles were intercepted. If so, then either Kiev regime pulled off whatever reserves they have, those interceptor missiles, or they received some new deliveries, right? From US, from European NATO member states. I don't know, I cannot tell, but they did manage allegedly to intercept at least few missiles, right? It well might be that Italy helped them with that because La Repubblica, for example, reports that Italy secretly approved their new package of military aid for Kiev regime, and this secret package included the SAMP-T air defense system. And at this point, dear friends, given the rate of transfer of weapons from European NATO member states to Kiev regime, one might argue that these European NATO member states might be actually, technically speaking, might be defenseless, right? In terms of air defenses, right? If something happens, they just send too much of air defense systems and the interceptor missiles. And it is interesting that, as far as I can tell, there is no protests, isn't it, in European countries? Looks like people don't even care, don't even pay any attention to this, right? Which is strange. If your country is transferring all their defense means they have to some third party, that should worry you, right? Because God knows, tomorrow something might happen and you might need it, right? But yes, I mean, Europeans, toppling here, right? They're in a different world, man. They have a very different mind. Majority, I mean, right? I understand that there is an informed minority that is opposes all this insanity that is coming from the European elites, but our majority, they don't care, man. Right? They just don't. Anyways, let's continue with some other news. And maritime blockade, dear friends, given the reports that are available, is still standing. Although, unfortunately, I'm afraid there's soon Russian militaries and security services going to receive order from Putin to ease the pressure on the Kiev regime. This might happen in next a week or two, actually, right? I'm a bit surprised that Putin didn't already demanded from militaries to ease the pressure, or maybe he did, man. I mean, who knows, right? But anyways, as of now, Reuters reports that approximately 70 grain ships are accumulating in the Black Sea near the estuary of Danube River, unable to enter Ukrainian ports. Following the strikes by the Russian armed forces, ports in the Odessa region have suspended operations, and ships are being redirected through the Sulina Channel. However, its capacity has proven insufficient. Currently, around 70 ships are waiting at the channel, while only 2 or 3 ships can pass through it to Ukrainian ports per day, according to their company Avalon. Due to adverse weather conditions, the Sulina Channel is expected to be closed for approximately 2 days now, which will further increase their accumulation of ships that are waiting their queue to enter the ports. Against this backdrop, Ukraine is prioritizing ships carrying fuel, which is causing additional delays in their loading and export of Ukrainian grain. And you know what? Too bad, man. Too bad, obviously, because what the hell? I mean, two free vessels are still managing to enter Ukrainian ports. That's unacceptable. Obviously, that's unacceptable. And hopefully, before Putin will demand in a stricter tone from Russian militaries to ease the pressure on the Kyiv regime and lift this maritime blockade. Russian militaries will completely shut down, completely, ability of Kyiv regime to either receive anything through Danube River or the Black Sea or to export anything, right? Two free vessels entering Kyiv regime's controlled territory is two free vessels too much. Unacceptable, right? And well, you might say, dear friends, or some might say that, well, Levan, we are talking about grain exports and the food exports from Ukraine. I don't have anything against food exports or grain exports, but you know what? This maritime blockade that Russian militaries are introducing is a response, isn't it? Is a response. This war on navigation lines was started by US, UK, their Ukrainian proxies, and their other allies, right? We just responded. And so if anyone to be blamed for the situation is only Western ruling class. Only Western ruling class, right? It is what it is. And then, yet again, by the way, let's not forget that Europe is a main buyer of Ukrainian grain. I know Western propaganda going to push narrative that, well, they're going to be starving in a starvation in some parts of this world, in African continent, in the global south, or somewhere else, because you see Ukrainian grain is not being exported in the same volume as in the past. But this is all lies. Main buyer of Ukrainian grain is Europe. You know, it's Europe, by the way. And when it comes to global south and African continent, for example, you know which country supplies them with grain? Russia, actually. Russia. And I did not see no condemnations of US, UK, Ukrainian attacks on Russian grain vessels or Russian commercial vessels, either in the Azov Sea or the Black Sea, when dozens of them being targeted in the past several months. So, you know, we are no longer sensitive to this kind of stuff, man, right? Or we just, you know, don't care. Don't care, man, right? Maritime blockade should stay in place until Kiev regime will be eliminated completely. That's my personal take. But of course, you know, Russian president has different takes. He is a big friend of globalists, Western ruling class. So, I mean, if they will ask Putin, of course, Putin would not be able to refuse, right? And he has a kind heart. So therefore, unfortunately, in next several days, maximum several weeks, maritime blockade of Kyiv regime gonna be lifted. Just mark my word, man. You know, if I'm wrong, I will say that I was wrong. But I think I'm correct. I'm gonna be proved again that my reading of big picture is correct. Anyways, past night, Russian Air Defense forces intercepted 267 drones that were launched by Kyiv regime to strike deep into Russian territory, obviously with assistance of NATO countries. Drones were intercepted all over the European part of the Russian Federation, with the exception of most northern regions. So I can give you specifics. Drones were intercepted over the Belgorod, Bryansk, Kursk, Volgograd, Voronezh, Lipetsk, Nizhny Novgorod, Rostov, Samara, Saratov, Ulyanovsk regions, the Krasnodar territory, Republic of Bashkortostan, and Republic of Crimea, also over there, Azov and the Black Seas. When it comes to Bashkortostan, well, ozone warehouses were targeted by Kyiv regime. You can see on your screen right now, in the circle here, this dot is a drone actually that did manage to bypass Russian air defenses and reach ozone warehouse. It targeted ozone warehouse, but it so happened that damage was relatively minor, and this warehouse did not cause massive fire. right? So it survived. It survived. I guess tomorrow, day after tomorrow, the U.S., British Secret Services, and the Ukrainian proxies will try to attack this very same warehouse again. Also, reports are that operations in this ozone logistical center has been suspended for a time being. Also, there are reports about attack um, on a warehouse in Orenburg, another ozone warehouse in Orenburg, which also sustained minor damage. So Kiev regime past night with assistance of NATO tried to destroy at least several more warehouses of ozone, and they failed. They caused some damage, but they failed to destroy entire logistical centers. And there are just now, dear friends, at 11:55 today, like 3 or 4 hours ago, media start reporting about yet another attack on a Turkish vessel in the Black Sea. Of course, these attacks are orchestrated first and foremost by British secret services, British militaries, with assistance of their US partners, of course. And they are using Ukrainian proxies as a tool for a plausible deniability. So drones struck a Turkish tanker in the Black Sea. A Maritime Voice reported another commercial vessel, the Star 2 tanker owned by Statu Denich Leaker, was attacked by a drone. This ship, the ship's bridge was seriously damaged and completely disabled, according to reports. And literally, like few minutes ago, 3 minutes before I launched this live stream, by the way, Kirill Fyodorov, Война История Оружия channel, I believe, was that reported about another, or it was the geopolitics, by the way. There was reports, anyways, right, that one more Turkish vessel allegedly was struck in the Black Sea. So, if anyone, yet again, if anyone wants to blame anybody for possible issues on the grain market or whatever, well, they should go with their questions towards the Western elites, right? And demand some answers. Because these attacks, constant attacks on Russian civilians and also Russian civilian navigation is never stopped. It continues, right? Despite all these talks that Kyiv regime is now asking for a Black Sea ceasefire and maritime ceasefire and that kind of stuff. But yet again, unfortunately, because I have no trust in Putin and his government, I have no confidence that maritime blockade will stay in place until this Nazi regime is totally demilitarized and dismantled. Therefore, yeah, I mean, we will see. We will see what's going to happen, man. But as I said, the Russian Federation, Russian people are facing terrorist attacks from Western countries, from NATO countries, and the Ukrainian proxies on daily basis. And yesterday, they targeted yet another civilian bus, communal bus, by the way, was struck and 9 people were killed. 9 people were killed when Ukrainian/NATO drone struck a bus in LPR. According to the regional governor Leonid Pisechnik, transport was traveling from Lysychansk to Stakhanov. There were 15 passengers on the border, and unfortunately, 9 of those passengers were killed, including young people, family members, one family members. That's what Kyiv regime and its NATO backers do, man. They knew, right? All these drones, they are equipped with their video cameras, right? They knew they are targeting civilian bus. They knew they are targeting civilian bus. That's the bus you can see now on your screen. They knew it. They targeted it. They killed civilians anyways. And this is not the first time, isn't it? Practically every week, there are reports that another bus was struck with civilians, then another one, and another one. That's with whom we are dealing, man. That's with whom we are dealing. And also, yesterday afternoon, there was a missile strike on Donetsk, on the central part of Donetsk, by the way. It was a British missile strike. It was a British missile strike. Storm Shadow, Scalp PG missiles were deployed there. And you know, these missiles are French, British combined production. So RT and many other media outlets are reporting about it. Ukrainian forces, I will say British forces, British French slash Ukrainian forces, that will be even more accurate, launched a major missile strike on Donetsk, the capital of Russia's Donetsk People's Republic, on Wednesday, damaging residential buildings and civilian infrastructure. Regional head Denis Pushilin has said, and according to reports, strikes targeted several locations in the east of Donetsk, with most of the casualties reported near the Donetsk city mall. The Westerner supplied munitions used there, including the Anglo-French Storm Shadow Scalp PG missiles, according to Pushilin. And there are videos, by the way, and photos out there with the fragments, right, of these missiles. And you can read there, made in UK, made in France, that kind of stuff, right? So it's for experts, it's easy to identify based on fragments what kind of missile is. So this was a French-British strike on Donetsk. Initially, there were reports that at least almost immediately when these strikes happened, there were reports start circulating, including on Russian pro-Russian channels, by the way, that there were at least 10 casualties, right? At least 10 people were killed there, and there was numerous injuries. But later on, all those channels deleted this report, and new reports emerged about 8 people being injured. And honestly, I consider this latest report or updated report that only 8 people were injured to be not really very accurate, right? Because according to reports, 5 to 8 missiles were used. So you are telling me that enemy, British militaries, French militaries, they use 8 Storm Shadow missiles in a densely populated city against densely populated city, and there 8 people only were injured. It's not really adding up, isn't it? So maybe by the way, there was a gathering of militaries somewhere in some building, maybe gathering of officers in some building, maybe some official from Moscow was visiting the area and he or she was a target. Difficult to say. Information, as I said, man, very rapidly was deleted, everything that was reported early on about this attack. And then Pushilin come up with his statements that, well, yeah, it was a Storm Shadow Scalp PG missiles and casualties are only 8. Yeah, something is not adding there, not adding up. Something happened, and the authorities decided that they're gonna hide this information. I don't know what, man. I don't know what happened really, but strikes were massive. I've seen videos. Probably many of you also seen those videos, right? Yesterday of this drone, these missile strikes. And one more reason to think that there was something much bigger than just a random strike of Kiev regime and its NATO backers on the Donetsk, because Maria Zakharova responded today on that attacker, and she went to say that Russia's response to Ukrainian attacks using British weapons could target any military facilities of Britain, both in Ukraine and beyond. So Maria Zakharova, for whatever reason, decided, and she's the official spokesperson of the foreign ministry, right? And she said that on a briefing during the press conference. So she has already pre-planned her text, right, for herself, because she is making speech and then she is answering the questions. So she was prepared to say it, right? This was not just a random phrase. I might come up with some random phrase now because I'm online, right? This is a live stream, actual live stream, right? I don't have no uh, what is it called, man? Souffleur, how you say it, or whatever, right? I don't have pre-planned texter. I don't have these machines up front of me with the screens where I can read some stuff. No, no, no. It's all real, right? Everything is real when I'm doing it. And so this was a pre-planned sentence from Maria Zakharova. And yes, she went to say that um, Russia might retaliate on military facilities of Britain, both in Ukraine and beyond. What that would mean, by the way, right? When I read this first time, when I see this report on DD Geopolitics Telegram channel, by the way, I was thinking, oh, come on, man, not again, man. Just don't do this, right? More statements, more warnings, more threats. Really? I mean, that's what we actually need now. More empty freaking words. But yet again, I guess she was told. I guess she was told that this is the line that Moscow is pushing, that British assets might be targeted either in Ukraine or beyond. Of course, this is all nonsense, by the way. No British target is going to be, struck anywhere by Russia, at least, right? But for whatever reason, this tough talk is becoming daily occurrence here in Russia, and this is unfortunate. Man, we are not America. It's in US, by the way, this tough talk and their games, all sorts of games are popular, right? When public figures are acting as if they are some freaking, I don't know, gangsters or something. We don't operate that way, so there is no need to make some strong statements, right? Especially if you are not going to follow up, and of course you're not going to follow up, right? Because these kind of statements, in 10 times stronger statements, we have heard 1,000 times already, and no one cares no more. Uh, and as a confirmation, by the way, that Russia not going to retaliate on British assets, neither in Ukraine, neither anywhere else, Peskov, press spokesman of the Russian president, went to say while talking to Bloomberg. Why is he talking to Bloomberg? I don't know, man. And why these Western propaganda outlets are still operating on Russian territory when Russian media is completely banned from the West, right? Makes no sense. But yeah, I mean, that's the reality. That's the craziness of modern times. And yeah, he spoke to Bloomberg and says Moscow's response to Ukrainian attacks on economic and trade infrastructure will be harsh, right? Harsh. Okay. But we have no plans for military escalation, he also added. Ukraine is attempting to attack our economic and trade infrastructure, and how fake these guys are, man, right? Peskov included. Ukraine is attempting to attack. Ukraine is attempting? Really? I mean, seriously? Ukraine is attempting? Or maybe it's UK and US and France and Germany. Is it really Ukraine, though? But you see, man, I mean, I hate these fake motherfuckers, man. I just hate them. Sorry for my French, but I hate fake people, man. Right? I hate everything fake. Это тошнотворно, блин, то, что они делают. But anyways, yeah, that's what he says, man. Ukraine is attempting to attack our economic and trade infrastructure, provoking retaliatory actions on our part, and this response will be harsher. At the same time, the Kremlin representative noted that the Russian Federation does not need military escalation since it is already progressing in a special military operation. You see, by the way, Peskov is saying it openly. Don't worry, man. We're not gonna retaliate on nobody, right? Have a good day, man. Enjoy yourself. Launch your drones, missiles, everything, right? We're not gonna retaliate. Don't worry about it. That's the message that Kremlin is sending to the West. Period. So then, when Peskov says this shit, right? Why Zakharova is coming up with this statement that, well, British assets gonna be, become targets in Ukraine and outside. What are you talking about? We are becoming a freaking laughing stock, man. We already become a laughing stock. I mean, come on. You know, all because of this nobodies that somehow end up in a position of elites, right? That's how it is, man. That's just how it is. But yeah. Anyways, let's continue. By the way, right? Let me just make a screenshot of super chats, and I will continue. You know what? I can see. Um, I it's hard to say that it's a positive, but in circumstances when Russia is led by people that in no circumstances will do anything that will upset Western elites, and in circumstances when in order to rapidly finalize special military operation, we actually need to retaliate on NATO countries, right, and force Western ruling class to back down and get out of this war, right? So that once the regime is left alone, it will take only a month or two or three max, right, for Russian military and security services to finalize this operation. And well, because there is no such a prospect, right, at least until Russia is led by this type of people like Putin, and rest of the stuff, right? Uh, Therefore, maybe it is even good in this very bad situation. Maybe it is even good that soon Putin will uh, sign up for freezing of the conflict. At least people won't die, man. I know Western ruling class will use this break to rearm, reorganize the Ukrainian proxies, to rearm and reorganize itself, right? European, NATO member states, and so on. But um, well, Russia can also use this break, right? Russia can also use this break, and God knows, man, if this break will last long enough, maybe we will replace Putin in 2030 with someone that are actually capable of doing what is necessary, right? Let's see, man. Let's see. Uh, And before I continue, let me remind you, dear friends, that well, there is a lot of talks, isn't it, out there on internet about independent media, independent channels, alternative media, and so on. And there, yeah, you cannot get any more independent than I am, right? And my project that you are watching now. So, dear friends, this is all only possible thanks to your assistance, community assistance. And if you like my programs, if you like that this independent project exists, please consider to join Patreons, right? Of Patreons of this project, community that supports through all these years, by the way. And well, you can do it, of course, through several means. You can subscribe to my Patreon page and become literally Patreon of this project. Link to my Patreon page is under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And I'm publishing first updates on Patreon, right? First, and then I have main news update. And there are some other content too on Patreon and Boosty channels of mine, by the way, including non-political, non-news, just entertaining stuff, right? I walk around Moscow or something like that. So there is a lot of stuff to see there, and also you can support my work while subscribing, choosing your level of support on the Patreon, monthly support, and subscribing. If for whatever reason Patreon is not good enough for you, if in your country Patreon is banned, for example, this is a Western platform. So in Western countries it would not be banned, but in some other countries could be banned, right? So if you cannot access Patreon even with VPN, then you can use for support Boosty platform. I'm publishing same videos, same content on both my channels on Patreon and Boosty. Of course, there is a PayPal platform, by the way, that you can use to donate to this project. And during the live streams, super chat feature, as I already said, on the Rumble channel of mine. Let me drop Rumble link also. There is a super chatter feature that is working on Rumble because my channel is monetized there. And also you can use premium subscription gift card, by the way, on Rumble as a mean of donating to this project. Each gift card of that premium subscription is a $5 donation to this project. And many members of our community are actually using premium subscription gift card to support my work. So there is quite a few ways on Patreon, by the way. You can, if you want to purchase separate videos, right? Patreon come up recently with such a feature that you might not be subscriber, but you can still watch the content because you can purchase literally each video if you want to. Anyways, as I said, there are a lot of opportunities, ways how you can support. All the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to everybody who ever supported and continues to support my work and keeps me in this field of news and political commentary and this project of mine alive, by the way. It's a constant struggle for survival, right? Constant struggle for survival. And we are surviving, by the way, thanks to you. So thank you very much. That's been said, let's continue with some other news. Middle East, of course. We have to talk about Middle East, by the way. Qatari Prime Minister heads to Tehran to revive US-Iran diplomacy, according to Reuters. Well, Qatar might try, actually, right? Some other parties also might try, but we all understand that all these talks about diplomacy and de-escalation is just a waste of time because the Western ruling class in no circumstances will back down from its Middle Eastern chapter of global strategy. They will definitely go for the next phase of escalation, which is war, obviously, right? That will include also ground invasion in Iran, and this is I expect this to happen early winter, right? Late autumn or most likely early winter, just in a few months' time. And there are many indicators of preparations for that next phase of war. So therefore, all these calls for diplomacy and everything else is unfortunately is just waste of time. US, meanwhile, allegedly, or White House, seeks to push Iran a war out of their headlines before their midterm elections. Understandable, makes sense, right? Very little makes sense when it comes to White House, but in this particular case, yeah, if they want to push topic of Iran war away from headlines, yeah, that might be beneficial for them because, well, they initiated war and they lost the war miserably, right? They've been humiliated. I mean, U.S. Ruling class, American ruling class was humiliated on a world scale, period. Iran beat the crap out of them militarily, politically, in the media field, in every possible way. First round of this war, that will unfortunately continue because the Western ruling class has no brakes and the reverse gear. The first round is in Iran's favor, 100%, hands down. All right. But even if they will push, they will try to push Iran topic out of headlines. Topic itself will stay. Iran will make sure that this topic gonna stay relevant, and I think nothing gonna help Republicans, man, in the midterms, right? They're gonna lose House, they're gonna lose Senate, they're gonna lose both, and Trump gonna be impeached shortly after. I think, right? But there is a probability of that. That either he will obey every picking order that he will receive from globalists, and that possibly will include their deployment of nuclear weapons against Iran, or he will be impeached and jailed. That's the trajectory that I see. Meanwhile, also, not surprisingly, I guess, US plans to revive Civil War era price court system to seize Iranian oil tankers. and oil too. Bloomberg reports that U.S. Justice Department is preparing to activate a long-term dormant maritime price quarter mechanism for fast track military capture of Iranian oil tankers as a U.S. spoils of war, citing three sources familiar with their plans. Under this plan, oil and other cargoes seized from Iranian vessels or even vessels that would belong to neutral countries would be sold with their proceeds funneled to the US Treasury. Move is intended to tighten the blockade on Iran and help offset the cost of their conflict. They are legalizing piracy, by the way, right? They are just legalizing piracy. And by the way, this is so dumb, man. This is so dumb. I mean, I cannot believe that US is led with these freaking dumb people, and that US ruling class is actually this dumb. Don't they forget that they are heavily relying on shipping? On the two sides, US is engulfed with their two freaking oceans. On the west, it's Pacific. On east, it's Atlantic, right? And if US is now going for legalization of freaking piracy, you think what's gonna happen to vessels that are bound to US? They will be primary target for all sorts of groups, even countries, by the way, groups of countries, right? What the hell is wrong with US ruling class, man? How they can be this freaking dumb? I don't know, man. But that's what they do, man. I mean, this information is coming from Reuters or Bloomberg, by the way, yeah, right? Bloomberg is reporting about it, so I don't know. Maybe they are just making this stuff up in the Bloomberg office, or maybe this is true. If it's true, it would not surprise us really, big time at least, isn't it? Because attempts to legalize piracy already was made in Ireland, in UK, in number of other European countries, and now US is going to do the same. What a dumb freaking creatures they are, man. This ruling class elites, so-called elites in America, man. Unbelievable, right? Meanwhile, Iran thanked China for a principled stance when it comes to US threats that all trade partners with Iran should cut ties or face secondary sanctions from US. Well, Beijing made a very strong stance on that, by the way. They said, you know what, just get lost. Literally, that was the message from China to US, just get lost, right? We are sick and tired of you. Just go away, right? They did not even comment seriously on the matter, by the way. They are sick and tired of this nonsense that is coming from US, and I guess everybody is sick and tired. Everybody, I mean, Americans are freaking sick and tired, man. US citizens themselves are tired of insanity of their own country and the leadership. So, of course, the rest of the world is, I mean, not in a better, did not have any better attitude. And also Iranians, by the way, struck US assets and the assets of US allies, including terrorist groups in Erbil area in Iraqi Kurdistan, northern Iraq, and this is not the first time and definitely not the last time when either Shiite formations in Iraq or Iranian special forces are conducting operations to eliminate military capabilities of their enemies that are heavily concentrated now in Iraqi Kurdistan on the border with Iran. And yeah, I've said many times before, you know, dear friends, that I consider personally Iraqi Kurdistan to be one of their staging grounds for future invasion, ground invasion of Iran, alongside the southern eastern part of Iran on the Gulf of Oman, right? And technically speaking, of course, I mean, UAE and some others, by the way, might try to attack Iran while crossing Persian Gulf, but these GCC countries are not really serious force, by the way, militarily. I mean, they are freaking joke, right? But point is that Israel, US, and their allies most definitely will use Armenia and Azerbaijan too for attacks on Iran. Maybe they would not go for a ground invasion from either Armenia or Azerbaijan, but but they will use these republics, former Soviet republics, for sure, for drone strikes, for air strikes, for all sorts of terrorist activity against Iranian people. And of course, Tehran will pay attention to this matter closely, and there will take some necessary steps, right? Unlike Russian leadership, Iranian leadership clearly does not afraid to do what is necessary, does not afraid to die. I mean, that's most important, by the way, right? If a man afraid to die, that man is not really capable of doing what is necessary in a critical situation. And the Iranian leadership demonstrated that they are not afraid to die. They are not suicidal, by the way. They don't want to die, obviously, but they are not afraid to lose their lives for a cause. While Russian leadership, by the way, is demonstrating anything but courage. Unfortunately, man. I mean, sad to say, or sorry to say, but that's my impression. That's how huge the difference is, man. Right? Embarrassingly huge difference. Yeah, that's too bad, man. Anyways, a few more news, a few more news. Of course, I have to mention, dear friends, this enormous disaster that had happened in Nepal and on Nepali-Chinese border. By the way, there was a massive floods. Probably it was a landslide. Then massive flood happened. Horrifying images are coming from their area. At least 570 people are missing. Out of these 570, and I'm afraid now number is even higher. At least 400 were foreigners. There were a lot of foreigners, by the way, in the area during this disaster. And yesterday I shared several videos on my Telegram channel, and I did not share no more, by the way, because really devastating images, right? When this massive, like, I don't know, 20, 30-meter high tide of mud and rock and everything is overrunning entire buildings, right? Terrible tragedy had happened there, and um, unfortunately, a lot of people died, a lot of people are missing, and yeah, let's hope um, people that were targeted or struck with this disaster, as many will survive as possible, right? Let's hope for it anyways. But based on images that I've seen, how anybody can survive there, man, I don't know. There is one video, by the way, on the border between Nepal and China. That was there is a building, maybe it was a checkpoint building or something. It's a like 5-7 story building. And when this wave of mudslide and this wave of rock, water, and everything crashed to this building, wave just went over the building, right, and took a freaking everything away. Horrible tragedy, man. And well, let's not finish the news segment on that negative reporter. Let's go for something positive. And well, Russia starts production on the first trains for the Moscow St. Petersburg high-speed railway. Moscow St. Petersburg line is set to launch in 2028 with Moscow Yekaterinburg to follow, and the travel time between the two cities after project complete will be just 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is well, quite good, man. Quite impressive, isn't it? 215 minutes, man. You can, of course, it will take some time before you get to their station in Moscow, and then before from station in St. Petersburg you will get to destination. Overall, it will be around anyways 3 hour 30 minutes, but still, man, huge difference, isn't it? Huge difference with their current 6 hours, for example. I believe there is Sapsan can reach St. Petersburg in 4 hours, right? I never traveled there on Sapsan, But recently, me and Anna went for a 1 day trip in St. Petersburg. I made the entire video about it and published on my Patreon and Boosty pages, by the way. If you are a subscriber there, if you are a member of communities and missed that video, check out her. About months ago, I published that video. And yeah, we choose Aurora train, which is cheaper than Subsan. It was cheaper at the time, by the way, right? Recently, I checked her, and now tickets cost like 6,000 rubles, sir. And when we brought the tickets, we pay only 1,000 because we brought the tickets like 2 weeks in advance. It only cost 1,000, man. Right. So yeah. Anyways, Aurora is cheaper than Subsan, and we spent 6 hours in train. Aurora is a bit faster. Sorry, Subsan is a bit faster, and this one is going to be much more faster. 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's just nothing, man. Right. Okay. That's being said, dear friends, there is also another news that I want to share with you. AI revenue is lagging behind the investments in it by 1.5 trillion, according to Wall Street Journal. And their difference, if this is not a major indicator that all this AI and IT and blah 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 stuff is a huge, massive bubble that is being created in US market, then I don't know what else will indicate that this is a bubble. $1.5 trillion lagging behind the investments. I mean, revenue is lagging behind of investments. This business never gonna go profitable, huh? Probably. Or maybe some companies will eventually manage to become profitable, but the rest will just vanish, and there are hundreds of billions of investments will vanish with those companies. Anyways, that's about it when it comes to news segment, dear friends. In case you find it informative and interesting, please indicate that. Click that like button, leave some commentary, share your opinion about any topic. And now let's go for a little community chat, dear friends. I've seen I'm seeing super chats. There was also a premium subscription gift card from Nautilus. Thank you very much, Nautilus, for a premium subscription gift card, which is a $5 donation, by the way, on Rumble. So let's go for a little community chatter. Right now, also I spotted there Scooby's super chatter, and let's have a conversation. Okay. First of all, if I may, I will thank Nautilus. Thank you very much, Nautilus, for your premium subscription gift card, $5 donation through Rumble. Thank you. For members of our community on YouTube that might have account on Rumble or might make account on Rumble, well, I will drop again link to my Rumble channel. I'm trying hard, man, to promote my Rumble channel, right? I need your help, dear friends. I'm talking to YouTube community in this particular case to further develop Rumble channel, and so join if you have account there, or if you can create account, please do so. And now let's go for recommendations and super chats. There was several recommendations from Christopher. Russia's epic response to CIA's warning, UK media in panic mode. This video can be seen on YouTube channel called GNF with 28.7k subs. So thank you, Christopher, for sharing this. Also, another recommendation: the Soviets build this. This video can be found on YouTube channel called British Man in Russia 2, 35K subs. I guess channel is about or video is about some unique stuff that was actually built in the Soviet Union, and there were many unique stuff that was achieved in the Soviet Union, by the way, for sure. And also Christopher is sharing Stanislav Krapivnik, NATO escalates as Ukraine reaches breaking point. This video can be seen on YouTube channel called Glenn Deason with 580,000 subscribers. And yes, I recommend. I will join Christopher's recommendation. I've actually watched a conversation between Glenn Deason and Stanislav Krapivnik yesterday. Interesting conversation, by the way. So I recommend to take a look at that conversation. Thank you, Christopher, for sharing. There were more recommendations from Christopher, but let's make it like one after one kind of stuff for recommendations. Then super chat. So, for example, once again, Nautilus, thank you for your premium subscription gift card. And there is a Scooby's a super chatter, yearly super chat today. Thank you, Scooby, for your super chat and the dollar donation. And Scooby's commenting: Putin has 75% approval in Russia. Are 75% of Russians brainwashed? Scooby, I don't believe in these ratings. Probably you are referring to approval rating from Xion, right? And I will agree that Putin is still most popular politician. His rating, his actual approval rating, probably is around 45%. In my personal opinion, it could not be higher, man. Now, I mean, before war, yes, but now, after all these tragedies that happened because of his restraint policies, his approval rating to be 75%, that's an insult to Russian society. Xion, leadership of Xion and their bosses in the Kremlin administration, they don't even understand. They're so stupid. They're so out of touch with reality, by the way, that they don't even understand that they are insulting Russian society while saying that despite everything, all the tragedies that happened because of the Putin and his restraint policies, 75% of people are still approving his work. What the hell, man? I mean, what? How? This is just too stupid, right? So I don't trust no bullshit from Xion, by the way, right? 35 to 45% could be realistic, especially because pensioners, by the way, right? Pensioners, it is difficult to change the mind of the pensioners no matter what. And most of the support that Putin will get now is from pensioners. And that's it. Among mid-age people, my age people, by the way, I'm 50, right? So around my age people, he might have a rating also, maybe, I don't know, man, 35% possibly, and that 35% is clearly brainwashed, obviously, right? By propaganda. Because I honestly don't understand why today anybody would support Putin. I just don't understand, man. I mean, argument that, well, you see, there was a 90s and now is a different time. Yeah, I'm sick and tired of that argument, man. Life goes on, right? Life never stops. Isn't it? And we are talking about now. I'm judging based on our last 4 or 5 years. I see no freaking reason why anybody should be supporter of Putin. Come on, right? So 75%, no, I don't buy that. Xion, probably you get this number from Xion, by the way. Xion is a garbage, right? It's just, it is what it is, man. I can't prove it, but that's my feeling. I live here in Russia, so that's how I feel, right? That yeah, 35 to 45, yeah, that's more be might be more or less realistic because of their this crazy propaganda, right? There is a cult, entire cult being created, like it is in US, by the way. There is a cult around Trump's figure, right? It's a cult around their Putin's figure too, created for a long time. So those cultists, they will never change their minds, most likely. Some might, but majority will never. But when it comes to the rest of the society, by the way, right? I mean, come on, 75%. Why not 95 then? Why not 115? So I don't buy into that stuff. It's cool. And yes, sir, whoever supports Putin, I consider to be brainwashed. That's how it is, man. That's what I think. Thank you for sharing, Scooby. Thank you for sharing. Let's go for another super chats and then recommendations also. Then recommendations also, and then we continue with the super chats. So, Wayward, thank you very much for your super chats and the donations. On the Rumble, Wayward is commenting, I suspect Putin gets his approval rating from the same place Trump does. It's probably manipulated by their pollsters. I don't believe 75% of people in Russia approve of his job performance. And Wayward, you just said what I've said, right? I have not read your super chat before this exact moment. I don't believe he has 75%. I just cannot see it being realistic, right? It's just nonsense. It's nonsense, right? It's just pure nonsense. But Sion, this institution that always does some kind of social studies, they've been told, I guess, by Kremlin's administration or Putin's administration, that's the numbers that you have to work with, and they do, right? And this sociology, by the way, these polls and stuff, as you rightfully acknowledged, pollsters can manipulate with numbers big time. And that's what they do. 35 to 45% may be realistic. More 35 is looks more realistic. 45 is too much, really, right? But 75 is just unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Also, Wayward is commenting, if it brings revenue to Zelensky and his cronies that Russia needs to destroy all export from Ukraine, allow nothing to get in. Get in either. And well, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Of course, ideally, Russian militaries are, if they had a green light, by the way, Russian militaries would shut down ground links, ground logistical lines too, that connects Kiev regime, let's say, or Kiev control territory with its neighbors, right? Romania, Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, and so on. Moldova. But unfortunately, until recently, just in past week or two, we have had two reports, border crossings being struck between Ukraine and Moldova. It happened just now, right? It happened just now, and honestly, I don't think Putin will authorize Russian militaries to take action against border crossings with Poland or Romania. I just don't see him authorizing that, So therefore, of course, we have to shut down logistical lines of our enemy. I mean, it's their basics, right? One don't have to be genius of strategy to understand if you want to, downgrade military capabilities of your enemy, you have to shut down logistical lines of your enemy, right? So maritime blockade is one, okay. And then comes ground logistical lines, right? But yeah, as of now, Russian militaries did not had no permission to do anything about it, and probably will never get green light to do anything as long as Putin is the president. And I'm afraid Putin will soon lift a maritime blockade on Ukraine. In a week or 2 weeks' time, probably probably Russian militaries and security services will be ordered to lift maritime blockade. We will see. You know, as I said, man, I have zero trust in Putin, so therefore I don't expect from him anything that is actually in best interests of Russia and the Russian people. I mean, I have zero trust in that guy, right? So therefore, I don't expect him to do anything that is actually in the interests of Russian Federation and Russian people, as far as I can tell, what best interests of Russian people and Russia is. And well, I am, by the way, not alone. Majority here in Russia has same take. None of us are happy with this nonsensical restraint policy, right? And none of us are happy with many things, by the way. I mean, when your president comes and says, Minsk 1, Minsk 2 was, they lied to us. That's how he justifies that he agreed on the Minsk 1 and Minsk 2, that he did not expect that he would be lied to. I mean, what the hell? Are we in a kindergarten or something? What are you talking about? And if you've been lying once and then you've been lying again second time, then why you didn't resign? If you are that incompetent, then why you just didn't resign? Go away, man, right? You don't have to die in that freaking office of a president. Go away. Enjoy your freaking life. Go for a fishing or something. But anyways, man. You see, by the way, Rutherford is commenting. Don't forget to sign out to Daily One. Thank you for telling me, Rutherford. Yesterday I forgot. By the way, I don't know how. Right there, it's a button here that you have to click on a StreamYard, right? And then click again to confirm that you are finishing the live stream. And I don't know, I can't even remember what happened. Did I click and it just misfired or something? I don't know. But I stand up, I went on the balcony, had a cigarette, came in, and Anna was calling at the moment, right? She called me and tell me that you are still online. And I was like, really? And only then I switched the stream. So yeah, I've been more careful today. And sometimes things happen. This is a live stream. As I said, man, when you are a live stream, when you are online, sometimes and if you don't have a script, and if everything is as real as it can be, right? Then sometimes you might say some stuff that you might not necessarily mean, but at that particular point, that's what happened, right? You just went emotional or something, and you just went wilder. Sometimes some technical issues might happen. It's a live stream. Sometimes you might forget to finish the live stream and start walking around and doing some stuff, right? So let's continue now. Let's continue with our recommendations, dear friends. As I said, there was more recommendations too from Christopher. And so let me highlight Russian special forces ambushed Ukrainian fuel train. Tons of gasoline seized there. This video can be seen on YouTube channel called the Murat San. Thank you, Christopher, for your recommendations and donations through PayPal. Also, Christopher is sharing Will their LMS 192 OSWI finally fly? Russia and Belarus review new timeline. This video can be seen on a YouTube channel called Altitude Addicts with 31.4K subs. And LMS 192 is, I guess, small uh, small plane. Am I correct? Small plane that is designed or planned to replace AN2 on the local routes. Am I correct? Either way, dear friends, you can check out our Altitude Addicts channel that always has some interesting videos. Christopher is recommending often some interesting updates when they have it. Also, Christopher is sharing. I found Russia's secret ladder car. The video can be seen on YouTube channel called Traveling with the Russian with Russell, 200K subs. And yeah, I mean, dear friends, do you know many Russian cars? Probably you have heard about ladder, right? Um, Check out the video. I mean, maybe there is some new model, by the way. I'm not really big car guy or something, right? I don't really pay much attention to developments in a car business. Maybe Lada has some new vehicle. I mean, last time I read anything about Lada was that they had their plans to create a new Niva, right? Off-roader. I mean, 4x4 new Niva. And there also another hatchback or something, another off-road parketnik, короче. They were planning to build some proxy off-roader, right? None of those cars are actually off-roaders, isn't it? With exception of maybe Toyota, but Toyota, yeah, okay, they build cars proper. But all the rest, they might look like off-road vehicles, but they are built for cities, really. So, dear friends, you might find it interesting to check out this channel because there is a video about some new ladder. And yeah, I cannot even tell you what that new ladder could be because I myself don't know. So, thank you, Christopher, for sharing. And let's continue now with the super chats. And I think the super chat is next, right? Thank you, Wayward, for your super chat. Wayward is commenting, everyone in the Russian government should probably spend a few months in China. Maybe they can learn a thing or two about how to confront your enemies. China would never put up with this nonsense. And well, China, yeah, could be China, by the way, but I would recommend Russian leaderships to go to Iran, right? I mean, it's much closer from Moscow. Just go to Iran and learn a thing or two, right? How you're gonna deal with you should deal with enemies. But yeah, it's so upsetting, isn't it, dear friends? So upsetting that I mean, when wartime requires wartime leaders, if you end up with leaders that might be good in the peace times but are terrible in the war times, that might cause some tremendous harm, isn't it? Historically, this is true. They are wartime leaders and they're peacetime leaders. It's a rare occasion. It never happens, basically, right? When you have in one, you have both, right? Capabilities. When a peacetime leader is also a good wartime leader. That kind of stuff maybe have happened like quite a few times, but on my memory, and I love history, by the way, but on my memory, honestly, I can't remember now anybody that was a major warlord, right? Major war leader, and also was a good at peace times. Usually it's either, right? And yet again, I would not get to argument with the people who will say Putin was a okay peacetime leader. Okay, man, I would not argue with that. I might have my criticism, but still, I would not argue with that stand. At least big time. But when it comes to war and wartime leadership, in my personal opinion, Putin is a terrible, terrible leader. I mean, that's how I see it. You know. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, Waywarder. And there was also more super chats. Also, Wayward is commenting. Uh, until Putin stops those drone strikes on Russia, who wants to be their first rider to get on those trains? I can already see the US, UK plotting derail or destroy those trains. Wayward is talking about faster, this Moscow, St. Petersburg fast trucks that are in process of building, and they're fast trains. And yes, I mean, in terms of people will ride it anyways, right? As I said, me and my wife, me and Anna, just went like a month ago in visited St. Petersburg for a day, uh, and we did not really think about drone strikes or something. It never come to my mind that either train could be derailed by these British or US terrorists, or drone might strike. Either train or while we were walking around St. Petersburg, right? Great city. So it's not that easy to scare us, right? That's the deal with the Soviet people, man. And we are Soviet people in many ways, right? Especially my generation maybe like 1 2 generations younger people. They still have elements of Soviet people. I mean, very young generation. Yeah, they are a bit different, and it depends now how we raise them, right? In order, I mean, in terms of water basis they will have, or yeah, what will be the foundation for them, right? To stand strong on their morale and the principles, right? But like generations are over 35 plus, we are Soviet people, I will argue. I mean, 40 plus, 35s are also too young. But yeah, 40 plus, we are Soviet people. You're not gonna scare Soviet people, man. It's just not possible. So therefore, honestly, it never come to my mind that they could be drone strikes while we were walking around St. Petersburg, including in areas that were actually targeted like maybe days before, right? So people will travel anyways. People will travel anyways. But we have to deal with these long range attacks on Russia. And the only way we can deal with this threat effectively is to restore the deterrent with the collective West. And that requires retaliatory strikes. It cannot be done otherwise, right? Either Putin have to surrender and agree on a capitulation terms of the West, or he have to authorize, and in that case, well, these strikes will end, I guess, right? If Putin agrees to on Western terms, or there is other option: authorize Russian security services and militaries to go for retaliatory strikes on legit targets. And I think it would not take too long before Western elites will realize that wow, Russians can hit back. So let's not mess around too much now or anymore. That will be their reaction. Maybe not initial reaction. Maybe initially they will try to act tough, but once we will smash their freaking faces again and again and again, they will learn eventually where their place is. Because Western elites only understand the language of force, right? And that's it. But Putin not going to authorize Russian military and security, so therefore we just have to live with this constant threat of long-range attacks as long as this conflict is on. And I think there is a high probability that Putin will agree on the freezing of the conflict before end of this year. Before end of September, we might see Slavyansk being liberated, maybe Kramatorsk too, maybe entire that northern western corner of DPR, Western ruling class. If they have any behind the closed door agreement with the Putin about freezing of the conflict, they can organize, right? Withdrawal of most of the Kyrgyzstan forces from that area in exchange of freezing of the conflict then on a line of contact. And yeah, if this will happen, let's say before September 20, then would not be surprised at all if before end of December, maybe even in November, we will have a freezing of the conflict, some sort of a Minsk agreement. Because that's a trajectory right now. In my reading of the big picture, that's the trajectory. So we will see. Thank you for sharing, Wayward. And also there was another super chat. Let me check. Am I missing something? Or no, I'm reacting on all. There is a super chat from Scooby. Thank you, Scooby, for your super chatter and the donation. Scooby is commenting the people in the USA are already paying to keep their bond market from collapsing. Soon they will probably be paying to bail out their tech companies, and well, they will. I mean, they will, Scooby, because gap of 1.5 trillion between dividends and their investments is just too big, and only for so long you can continue to pour in money into this into this bubble, right? Before you will face consequences. This bubble will burst eventually, right? And majority of these AI companies, IT companies, gonna go burst, right? That will be tremendous crisis, obviously, in US. Some will survive. Some might survive, actually, but those that will survive will be bailed out. They will survive not because they are successful or profitable or something. They will survive because they might be just too big to fail. You know, this is the doctrine, isn't it, of US financial elites, ruling class, that there are certain institutions that are just too big to fail. And that's why they are they did bail out these banks, for example, in 2008. So in order to maintain this their field or this sector itself, they will bail out companies, some companies, maybe not all, but some companies for sure. And God knows how much money will be required for that. Definitely hundreds of billions, but maybe even trillion plus or trillions. You know. Thank you for sharing, Scooby. And let me, dear friends, highlight also there was two more recommendations. Two more recommendations from Christopher. Could we make it to Moscow? Final breakthrough driving to Moscow. This video can be seen on YouTube channel called Lisa the Russian. 104K subs. This is a travel channel, I believe. And dear friends, if you like travel channels, if you like to see videos about Russia, then Christopher is recommending this channel. And also another recommendation, Kupiansk War. Russian troops ambushed and forced Ukrainian troops to surrender. This video can be seen on YouTube channel Military Updater, which is a massive channel, 259K subs. Thank you for sharing, Christopher, and thank you for your donations through PayPal with these recommendations. And well, members of our community probably will take a look at the videos that you recommend, channels that you recommend. Thank you. And let me check to make sure that there are two more super chats, by the way. Two more super chats. from Scooby and Wayward. So thank you, Scooby and Wayward, for your super chats and the donations. And Scooby is commenting what happened to the reaction videos, and I don't know, Scooby. I don't know what happened there. I'm struggling to with the time, right? Anna was telling me like yesterday, either this morning or yesterday, why you are not doing reaction videos. And because I don't know, man, I just never have enough time to do it. But I want to do it, and you know what? I just have to leave everything I'm doing on. I have to choose one day, Saturday or Sunday. You know, I just have to stop doing whatever I'm doing and make reaction videos. Let's see, man. I'm monitoring anyways, right? All the main channels on alternative media, and no, I will just choose one of the programs, interesting ones, and I will present that program. And also, I will share my takes on certain episodes that will be, I will react on it basically. I'm still planning to do this, Scooby. I did not change my mind or something. I myself are interested to do it, right? Especially what I want to do is when I see, I don't want to watch video upfront. I wanted my reactions to be original, right? Immediate reactions. So when I will see, for example, on a Duran or on a Glenn Diesel or any other channel, Judge Napolitano's channel, for example, or any other uh, new video, giving their headline, you can understand, right? Approximately about the topics that are going to be discussed in the video from headline or something. And I will not watch it. I will just watch that video while recording it, right? And I will react like that. So it will be just original reaction. I did not forget about it, Scooby, but yes, I mean timing. You know, uh, Wayward is also. Thank you for reminding me, but I didn't forget actually, and I want to do it. I'm gonna do it, man. Right? Um, there is one way, as I just described. There is another way to just make us short copies, shorter videos from different videos, right? And then react on those short clips. There is these two ways, right? That I'm thinking to go. Um, Also, Wayward is commenting for a man who claims he's been lied to by the West so many times makes it hard to believe he was ever part of their KGB. You would have thought the KGB had a better training. And by the way, of course, he was not lied. He is saying that he was lied because what else he can say? You know, he's just attempting to just somehow explain to public what happened, right? That they lied to us, or they lied to me. We've been lied and stuff. He knew what's going on, right? And he nevertheless participated in that game that was initiated by Western ruling class willingly, and therefore it was him that lied then to Russian people. He knew what was going on. He knew Minsk 1 and Minsk 2 was nonsense and will lead nowhere. But he and his people, they still push for it. And therefore, it was them that actually lied to Russian people. That's the more important, I will say, right? Because we expect Western elites to lie to us. I mean, that's what they do always, anyways, right? But when Russian leadership agree on something, and they knew this agreement will lead nowhere, and they start justifying this agreement before people, before public here, they start lying to us, and that's something that society should be very critical of. Putin is an intelligent guy. I'm not going to take it from him. He's an intelligent guy. Intellectually, I mean, he's like 73, he's not it or something. And intellectually, when he talks, by the way, on subjects that he actually has a good knowledge of or good level of information, I mean, he's quite good, man, for his age. I mean, maybe 73 or 74 is not that much, but still, man, it's some age, right? Uh, Now, question is how well he's informed about all the topics that he talks, and sometimes he says some stuff that will make you like wonder from which universe he's talking. Um, but yeah, no, he's well capable intellectually. I'm not gonna take it from him, but you see his vision. Uh, his vision, his takes on many things are very different, I guess, than mine or yours or majority of the people. And that makes it difficult to understand, you know. But yes, man, I mean, for a president to say that he was lied once and then he was lied twice and then he's again engaged in with the same group of people in the talks, yeah, that's quite something, man. It's bad optics for sure, bad optics. But he's engaged in some geopolitical games that he thinks he has a strong positions, but I think he's you know he's mistaken. That's what I think. Also, NSPK is commenting, and if I may, our reactor. So it's all Putin's fault that the West is utterly untrustworthy when it comes to signing agreements. After Minsk II, Putin signed not one agreement or non-zero. Well, there was an Anchorage summit, NSPK. There was the Anchorage summit, right? Just now, like a year ago. And throughout the year, not just Putin, but his inner circle, right? His aides and stuff. They drill the brains of people, right? Drill the brains out of people with this Anchorage spirit and stuff. And eventually it turned out that, well, Putin was lied again. And Rubio said it directly, isn't it? That there was no agreements, there was no nothing, right? Just exchange of some ideas or recommendations or something. Rubio downgraded Anchorage like below anything, really. And then Lavrov was forced to start explaining to public that, well, if you come up in initiatives and we say, okay, we take your initiative and then we have an agreement, right? That's an agreement. Then Lavrov, foreign minister of Russia, was forced to kind of apologize, right, to the public here in Russia and explain why there were so many talks about Anchorage summit, Anchorage agreement, and why it was an agreement from Russian standpoint, while US says, Rubio says, and all the rest that there was no freaking agreement. So what are you talking about? So it was not just Minsk 1, not just Minsk 2. Before Minsk, there was in 2014, by the way, I cannot understand how anybody, including Russian side, actually believed that the Western ruling class will dismantle this coup d'etat foundation, right? When European countries promised security and safety until next elections to former president of Ukraine. What the freaking name is of that guy? Yanukovych. Remember, literally day before he was overthrown, European countries give him a guarantee. They sign up for a paper, by the way, right? It was not just a verbal agreement, it was a documented agreement, right? That Yanukovych will stay in office until next elections. And it didn't took more than 24 hours and he was overthrown. How Moscow could there ever believe in 2014 even that Western elites will honor the agreement. It's nonsense, right? It's nonsense. So, you know, and when it comes to Anchorage, there was not even a signed agreement. It was just a, I don't know, exchange of some thoughts, right? And for whatever reason, for entire year, Putin and his administration was drilling the brains out of people that, well, we have agreement, right? And Anchorage summit, Anchorage spirit, Anchorage this and Anchorage that, that we're going to have a breakthrough and this and that. It was all nonsense. It was just all nonsense, you know. So someone has to be responsible, isn't it, for this stuff. If you have an employee, an SPK, and your employee makes one mistake after another, after another, after another, and all mistakes are kind of the same, at some point you will say, what the hell, man? Are you able to learn something? If not, then maybe you have to change your positions on some other, you know, maybe you will be better in something else, man, because you clearly can't work on this position. That's what would you say? That's what I would say, right? But somehow this does not apply to political leadership. No, it applies, should apply to political leadership, especially to political leadership, because when they are making mistakes, well, whole society pays, right? Whole country pays for that. And often dearly with lives, you know? So I think there was another super chat, dear friends. Right now, two super chats actually. Let me react her, if I may, dear friends. I mean, these community chats of the new segment are brilliant, isn't it? It's like, I mean, it's great, man. As you can understand with my work, by the way, I am stuck around in this corner, basically, around these notebooks, and I'm constantly, when I finish this live stream, dear friends, what I'm gonna do, practically straight away, I'm gonna start preparing next program, right? And reading the news and listening and all that stuff. This is just constant process, and therefore this thanks to you, this afternoon segment community chats are really relief, sort of, because we can talk just about anything, right? We just can have a like friendly chatter, as if we are million-year friends and are, I don't know, in a pub, right, and just exchanging opinions. So it is really it helps. It's cool, man, to be able to just exchange opinions like that. So thank you for this, dear friends. Thank you. And there was, as I said, two more super chats from Wayward and Scooby. Uh, Wayward is commenting, unfortunately, Levan, as you stated, Putin will never be accused of being a great wartime leader. He saved Russia from the disaster of 90s, but he has destroyed his legacy during this Ukraine conflict. And I'm afraid I have nothing to argue with you on this topic. He is destroying his own legacy, isn't it? And so rapidly, man. So rapidly. I mean, you are spot on. You know, before this war, he had he I mean, he had the guarantees that his name gonna go down in history with the golden letters because of the difference between 90s and modern days, right? But during this wartime, well, he is destroying his own legacy, man. big time. He and his inner circle, they are doing it together. You know, really unfortunate. And if I had the slightest belief that he has some plan, that he is playing some 20D chess or something like that, or I will say, you know what, I'm a stupid, I don't understand her. This guy is a genius, right? And so I'm gonna trust his genius, right? And I'm not gonna be critical. But unfortunately, I don't believe he has any plans, really, right? I don't think he is capable of playing 20G chess, if that is even a thing, right? He is reacting. He is not proactive. He's usually he is always reactive. That does not indicate that he has any plans, man. When you have a plan, you are proactive. You are pushing your plan to be implemented, right, through different means. And so, therefore, because I have no confidence that that he has actually plan that will benefit Russian people and Russia. Therefore, you know, therefore, I cannot keep my mouth shut and pretend that yeah, it's all good, man, because it's not, man. It's not. It is what it is. And after all, we should not force ourselves, right, to be quiet. We just have to be real, man. We own that to ourselves, to be real, and to people around us. It is what it is. And Scooby, thank you, Wayward, for sharing. And Scooby is also commenting. Thank you, Scooby, for your super chat too, of course, and their donation. And Scooby is commenting the opportunity costs of this war was high for Russia. They've traded their lives and the future economic prosperity for the Donbass. Is that enough? Well, it's not about Donbass, really, Scooby. That's the issue there. That it's about survival of Russian civilization. Because I mean, you have seen, isn't it? Western elites were quite clear that they want to destroy Russia. They want to split Russia in number of parts, right, and control the resources. They don't give a damn about people. They don't give a damn about anything. They need resources to stay competitive, right? They cannot be competitive, by the way. I mean, it's so obvious, right? Only way they can maintain their presence on geopolitical scale. I mean, especially Europeans, by the way, right? And when I say Europeans, I mean European elites, and that's globalists, right? Only way for globalists to maintain the grip over their world and to maintain their relevance is to keep Europe competitive. And they need resources for that, right? Where those resources are, Europe itself does not have it. To buy on an open market, too expensive, right? Does not give you advantages when it comes to competitiveness. You need the cheap resources, right? And they looking east. They are looking at Russian riches, right? And they are serious, by the way. They want to destroy Russia, establish control over the resources, right, and maintain their dominance over the world while using these resources. And they don't care how many people will die in the process. They don't care about it, right? It's all collateral for them. So this war was never about Donbass alone, or denazification of the regime alone, or the demilitarization of the regime alone. It was about many things together, right? It was about Donbass, about Novorossiya, about demilitarization, denazification, and about saving the Russian civilization, Russian world, right, as a civilization, which is under existential threat. Because if Western elites succeed, they're going to destroy this civilization, by the way, that saved, among many, many things, by the way, this civilization, Russian world, saved two my people. I represent two people, right? Two ethnicities. Georgian, I consider Georgians to be my people, And Georgians exist, modern Georgians, by the way, because of the Russia, right? If not Russia, I'm 100% positive, by the way, Georgia will not exist, and their modern Georgians will be Turkish. They will just be Turkish, right? As their Turkish nationalists, most likely, as Turkish president is, who is ethnically Georgian. Erdogan, by the way, right? He's ethnically Georgian, but he's Turkish nationalist. He don't give a damn about Georgia. Once or twice he says that Batumi is a Turkish city. Batumi is the capital of Ajaria, by the way, Georgian region. And Turkish president, ethnically Georgian president, who is yet again Turkish nationalist, says that he has a claim on the Georgian territory. He wants to take Georgian land and give it to Turkey. You know? So Russia saved Georgian people, Georgian culture, and Russia saved, by the way, Ossetian people, descendants of Alans, right? Scytho-Sarmatians. Correct? So, and I can continue, man. This is a unique civilization, absolutely unique civilization. We as a humanity cannot allow this unique civilization to be destroyed by these psychopaths that are in charge of the Western ruling class. That's it. So this is existential struggle for Russia. Many people still don't understand, man. But this is existential struggle for Russia, for Russian world. You know? And when you take a look at the situation like that, then, well, you understand that, yeah, in that case, yes. In that case, of course, if it's an existential struggle, if you are fighting for your survival, then you will go for everything, right? And you'll be able to sacrifice yourself too, if necessary. You know, so it was never solely about Donbass. It's much bigger issue. It's about survivability of the Russian world that is under attack from the globalists, and we have to win. We have to defeat this evil force, man. Have no choice but to win, and we will. We will, by the way. Now, maybe current leadership of Russia will agree on a freezing of the conflict or something. They will, right? Unfortunately, I have no hope that they will actually deter Western elites, man. So they will agree on a freezing of the conflict, but at some point, as I have said many times before, by the way, this war will actually end only when Russian troops will be on the border with the Western Ukraine. So therefore, at some point, under the different leadership, well, Russia will finalize what was started in 2022, right? And Russian troops will be on the border with the Western Ukraine. It's just a matter of time. But unfortunately, we will have bigger losses, right? And we will face bigger harm because if Putin agrees now on the freezing of the conflict, of course, Western elites going to use this break maximum, on a maximum level, right, to prepare. But eventually, we will deal with the Western ruling class, man. Eventually, humanity will win, right? And that means Russia will win. Russian world will succeed. And right now there was another super chat from not super chat, dear friends, but a recommendation from Christopher. Let me highlight these two, and I guess that's it for today's program. Thank you, Christopher, once again for your recommendations and for your donations through PayPal and the recommendations. Redcliffe rolls into Moscow, and it is not for reasons you would imagine. This video podcast can be seen on YouTube channel called The Serious Reporter. with the 21.4K subs. So, dear friends, there is a update on this channel, Serious Reports, and their update is about this visit of short visit of CIA boss into Moscow day before yesterday. Thank you, Christopher, once again for a recommendation and principle, that's about it, is not it? Thank you all, dear friends, for your time and attention. Uh, have a have a wonderful day, everybody. Have a wonderful day and take care. See you tomorrow. I'm not gonna forget turn off the live stream today.